I missed you guys.
We missed you too.
It's Kyle, Brian, and Sarah on Mix 101.5. I'm Kyle. Hello, Brian
He's
Lord.
back!
And hello, Sarah.
I just want you to know
Oh,
when I
thank you.
answered you then, I was speaking for everyone listening as well.
Thank you so much,
Not
Sarah.
me. I speak for me. Welcome back, Kyle.
I know. I've missed
You
you
look
guys.
good.
Thank you, buddy. I want to take a moment and say thanks to all of you. And that's what it felt like over the last couple of weeks. I really felt like I heard from all of you with your well wishes, your text messages, your encouragement for my wife, and then the follow-ups like how is Sarah doing? How's my wife doing? If you missed what happened a couple weeks ago, my wife had a terrible headache. We got an MRI, found out she had this massive aneurysm that we fortunately caught that had not ruptured. She ended up having a endovascular coiling procedure on it.
Whoa.
Look that one up if you want to learn more about it.
I've never heard you say such a fancy word.
I know, but there were some complications with it that we knew were going to happen. And then there was another stroke that she had during the procedure, and half of her body is numb. She doesn't feel anything on her left side, limited movement in her left hand and leg. And right now she's at WakeMed inpatient rehab for about a month. And that's where I've been staying the last week since she got transferred.
Ooh, what are you sleeping on
Yeah,
right
are you
now?
sleeping in a chair?
Yeah, it's kind of my last concern, but it's a chair. It's fine. It's fine. It leans back. It does just enough for me to fall asleep. But the fact that so many of you have been reaching out and following up, and I've read the messages where some of you are praying out loud at night before you go to bed with your family for my wife and her comfort and her to be better. Like, that is really the most humbling thing I've ever experienced in my entire life, reading all these comments, and some of you are literally praying out loud at night with their family for my wife. Like, I've thought about that, and I'm surprised I'm not crying right now, because the times I do read these comments, I'm, like, weeping. But y'all have been incredible, and over the last 8 years, we've just tried to create a space where we root for each other, right? We show up for each other, and in this moment, y'all have single-handedly shown up for my family. It has just been so humbling. And, of course, we're still at the beginning of this. I'm still processing. My wife is still processing where her life is. And on top of that, she's 32 weeks pregnant. And now she's recovering from a stroke and doing intense physical therapy. And the team there has been incredible. But there's still a lot that we're trying to unpack, because it just happened a couple weeks ago.
Right. What is the biggest thing that you still have to unpack? There's 8 weeks until your boy is due, and that's 8 weeks of recovery that Sarah has to go through before delivering the baby. What's still, top of the list right now?
It's a great question, Brian. I just think the healing of the aneurysm, I mean, it's not really ever going to go away, but just the fact that we're really hoping there's no complications with it. I don't know if I said this on air at the time or not, but I guess these neurodocs, when they see an aneurysm, typically the bigger ones that they see are 5 to 7 millimeters. Mm-hmm. Sarah's was 20 millimeters,
Crazy.
2 centimeters in size, and seeing the MRI of that was just, oh my God, I feel horrible for my wife. I feel awful that. And we've talked about this before too, Brian, not for this situation, but other times. As a spouse, it is awful knowing that you can't do anything for your spouse physically when they're going through something that they have to physically kind of work through. You can be there to encourage and support, but that's been tough. And then in a long answer to your question, Brian, I'm sorry. But just hoping the aneurysm and the healing and what they did is fine, that there's no complications with that.
Yeah.
That's a concern that I'm living with still. And my wife is living with still, knowing that she has a baby coming up in a couple weeks. And we're not sure how that's going to work as far as being delivered right now with the C-section or normal delivery. And then on top of that, just, seeing her at therapy, she's been doing great considering the circumstances. On Friday, I cried because my wife stood on a treadmill and walked on a treadmill for 0.75 miles with a therapist on
Good
each
for her.
side.
Wow.
And I know that was really tough for her, but she did it. And it was
Yeah.
this amazing thing to see, because she's not up walking around really right now. She's mainly in a wheelchair. She can get up and walk around if she needs to. I'll help her in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, that type of thing. But there's just so many different layers, Brian, to this. I could talk about it for an hour with all the different things that I've learned. And I don't even know if I've answered your question, to be honest with you, with what you asked. But just like there's
You've
so many.
answered a lot of questions that were lingering in my
Yeah,
head.
I mean, you're
Just
still
like
figuring it out.
Yeah, we're still at the beginning of this. We're on turn 1 of a
Yeah.
race that I don't know how long it's going to look, because right now we're at the beginning of it.
What blows my mind is the fact that the headache she had, and it was severe, like she was like in pain on the couch, like writhing in pain, was not associated with the aneurysm.
Yes.
That's the part that blows my mind. Like, you would not have known about this aneurysm without this horrible sinus headache, which is what it ended
Yeah.
up being, a
Yeah.
sinus headache.
That's the divine intervention.
Dude, that is
quotient.
exactly what that is.
It is crazy to think they're like, yeah, it most likely, the aneurysm was most likely not causing this excruciating headache. I don't know if it was maybe a little bit of it, but I felt like, based on everything I was understanding, and mind you, I was trying to understand
You got a lot of stuff thrown at you.
neuroscience
Yeah.
stuff. But she had this weird sinus and ear infection, which is what we thought it was initially. And then after 72 hours, she was still in excruciating pain. And I said, if you're not feeling well on Thursday, please let me know after the show, because she doesn't have any precursor or history
Sure.
of having these intense migraines, And on Thursday, she sent me a text that simply said, need help.
Oh, no.
And at that moment, it was just like, I need help with Sophia. I can't function. She was incapacitated. And then that's when kind of the ball got set in motion of going to the ER. Later in the day, it was getting the MRI, to getting the news of, oh my God, my wife has an aneurysm that we now have to figure out. And that, 24 hours after that, from Thursday to Friday, honestly was just like the scariest moment of my life, because it was a 3-hour procedure. We were dealing with these next level doctors, high risk OB doctors, of course, the anesthesiologists, the neuro guys, the neuro people. Like, she had an entire team to work through this. And the hour before, we had this pep talk from the OB doc, who was terrific. And then not too long after that, the neuro guy who was doing the procedure on her came in. And you realize how serious all this is. And then the moment that always levels up already a serious situation is the chaplain then came in to give a prayer for my wife. And
Oh, man.
I'm like,
Man.
oh my God, I hope. And listen, I believed in the guy doing it and the team. There was never that doubt. But as somebody that's never gone through this before, you're like, oh my God, you can't help but think, you hope something doesn't go sideways in
Yeah.
this.
You're just connecting dots.
And the chaplain always levels up that seriousness. And then it was like, once they did this other test before it and they realized the size of the aneurysm and what needed to be done, everything just felt like it was on a roller coaster of like, okay, they looked at it, they had the strategy behind it, like coaches, and then it was like they came to the room, talk to this person, here's the chaplain, and literally within 5 minutes she got wheeled out of the room. And I'm just,
You're just sitting there.
and it felt like the movie scene where the bomb goes off and there's just that weird kind
That
of
ringing
silence.
and yeah.
And I see her getting rolled down the hallway with our son, and my wife is 7 months pregnant, going through a really serious brain procedure. It was terrifying for 3 hours, to be honest with you. And I honestly, I'm doing the show, and it's like, for me, this is like, as the show goes on and the week goes on, this is going to be kind of my disconnect from the seriousness of what's happening in my life behind the scenes. But yeah, we're still processing like a traumatic event. My wife is in the hospital right now for another month, and we hope there's no complications with this procedure that she had. But that moment from Thursday to getting the MRI results to the next day, a diagnostic angiogram where they did the contrast to see exactly how big it was, where it was, and how they wanted to go about it, to then the procedure, to then, oh yeah, she had 2 strokes, and now she can't, feel the left side of her body. She's feeling this tingliness that's driving her crazy,
I
but she
bet.
can't do anything about it. Yeah, there's just so many moving parts to this, and all of it makes me sad. And because we wanted this to be like everybody, who might be pregnant or going through pregnancy. You want it to just be like that happy ending like we see in movies and shows. In the last 2 months of this, she's dealing with pregnancy like stuff, that she has hip pain and all that stuff. And on top of that, she's doing 3 to 5 therapy sessions every day that range from 30 to 90 minutes to try to get better for her stroke.
It breaks my heart, man. Like, Kate and I were talking about this, just you and Sarah's pregnancy journey. I feel horrible for Sarah. I know you guys have Sophia, but you guys have gone through 2 miscarriages. And I remember after the first one, man, it really hurt me hearing how much the pregnancy journey for both of you was sort of like ruined, because now you're just sitting there and you're anticipating bad things after your first miscarriage. Now you're just anticipating bad things. And, Sarah had to go to different doctors because it's more of a high-risk pregnancy, which amplifies your anxiety. And you're dealing with that for 9 months. And man, I was so happy because with this pregnancy, things were so smooth. And it seemed like you and Sarah had gotten back to sort of like positive thinking about pregnancy. And all right, we had our miscarriages, but this is good. This is good. And then all of a sudden, it's like
the worst.
The rug gets pulled from under you, man. It breaks my heart.
Mine too. It's horrible.
Breaks my heart that you and Sarah are striving for just a quote unquote normal pregnancy, and these things keep happening to you guys.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry. It just breaks my heart to think about it.
It's interesting that you said all that, and Brian and I are very similar with the fact that we tend to see silver lining, and we want to be positive and encouraging. That's how we lean.
It's the only way to protect ourselves.
I'll never forget my wife the first time through after the first miscarriage when we were having Sophia. She said it's like holding your breath for 9 months, hoping everything goes well. And Sophia's pregnancy was great. And then we had another miscarriage. And we were trying so hard to make it happen again. And what I'm trying to reconcile is knowing that this pregnancy accelerated this brain aneurysm that we're trying so hard to have. And I'm not going to be one of those parents that resents our kids, because that's a thing that happens when people go through this stuff. I can't wait to meet my son, and Sarah can't either. But I do know that this pregnancy was kind of a direct link to this aneurysm happening, because there's, an extra 50% blood volume, and that this vessel that it happened to for my wife might have already been susceptible for whatever reason. Sorry, a lot of thoughts right now. But what I wanted to say to what you said, Brian, is the silver lining stuff. Because since those miscarriages had happened with my wife, there has been that, worry.
Yeah. And
this time around, we're 4 months into it.
Yeah.
5 months into it. 6 months into it. And there's still, the worst is going to happen. And I was that guy, we got this. He's doing great. And it's amazing he's still doing great. He's probably what the hell's going on out there? But I was so positive 6, 7 months in, let's lean into this. And I think she finally started to embrace.
Relax.
We're good. We got this. And then this horrible thing happened to my wife. And she's still living in it. And I can't do anything about it. And it's awful.
I know, man.
And I'm doing the best I can. And I'm great at compartmentalizing. I'm great at looking at the next thing in front of me. I feel like that's how I've been able to kind of handle this. But of course, like everybody, the floodgate, the tsunami of all the thoughts and all the things hits me at different times.
Of course.
And I'll be walking down Wake Med hallway just crying.
Yeah.
Trying not to do this in front of my wife because I want to be strong for her.
Yep.
But seeing my wife going through this moment is just really, really hard. And we still have a ways to go. But I admire her strength, like I said on Facebook. But it's tough because she keeps getting thrown curveballs in life. And there's been other things that my wife has dealt with that I'm not going to get into. But I'm like, why does my wife have to deal with these worst case life scenarios?
Freaking unfair.
And it's just been a lot. But I am thankful for the medical team that she's had, the care that she had at UNC hospitals, the team and therapists she has at Wake Med. And I do believe there's a recovery in front of her that is happening. It's not a straight line. I mean, she's recovering from 2 strokes, and there's going to be different bumps. But, man, I saw her walking on a treadmill on Friday, and that was amazing. And then she didn't feel too great on Saturday, and then I don't know what the next day is going to bring. But I've heard from so many of you saying that somebody that I know has been through this. And the fact that she does have strength already, even though she can't feel it down the left side of her body, is a great thing. And I know she's going to keep showing up for the day that's in front of her. But, damn, it is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard to be like, I need help going to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I need someone to help get me there. All those things are tough, but I know my wife is so tough. But it's okay not to be tough. I tell her it's okay to cry. Like, don't hold all these things in. Let, some of this stuff go. And she has. But, as I talk to you right now, it's just I'm still processing. I'm processing all this for you right now as I'm talking to you. It happened 2 weeks ago, and we're still in this moment, and we are going to be for a while. And they said the actual picture of what her life might look like might not be until 6 or 8 months from now, when kind of the brain recalibrates. She's had the therapy. The therapy is so important right now that she's showing up to. But yeah, there's just a lot of different things we're trying to navigate and work through right now.
Well, thank you for being so open. And we're here for you. And we're proud of you. You've been such just the fact that you slept in that chair every single night and you go home to see your daughter every single night. Like, you're an incredible husband, and you're showing up for her, and I'm so sorry. I mean, there's really nothing I can say except for I'm just so sorry that this has happened.
Thank you, Sarah.
You're doing enough. You're doing everything you
You're
can,
doing
man.
more
You're
than
shouldering your
enough.
entire family, trying to play public relations to all of Sarah's family, all of your family. You're trying to protect your wife and be strong for her, protect Sophia. You're shouldering so much. So just like it's okay for your wife to show her emotions, man, it's okay to drop those bags, man, and just let it go sometimes. And, dude, to keep things into perspective, man, and I know it's so tough, but this is a straight-up miracle baby.
I agree.
Because,
and my wife's life.
And, yeah, because, it could have been so much worse. This had the potential to. Had they not found that aneurysm, there is
Because
a chance
of a
that
headache?
you could have lost both of them.
Oh, I know
and
that.
here you are in an inpatient rehab, and it sucks, man, and I'm so sorry. And I know the road is so long, and it's going to be, like you said, not a straight line. But the fact that this baby exists, and here in a couple months, man, you're going to have a son.
Yep.
And no matter what it looks like for your wife, you are going to have a son. And the fact that you are going to be able to have that and your wife is just the best thing, when it could have been
so much worse.
No, I know. It's not lost on me. The doctor said that, 2 miracles happened with that procedure, with my son and my wife. She just misses Sophia terribly,
I bet.
not being able to go home. She has seen her a couple times. And, of course, we snuck Boomer out to the courtyard, too.
Yeah, you did. That's my boy. Break the rules.
For Sarah to see her real soulmate in life. It's fun.
Boo!
I bet Boomer went nuts, man.
I know, but yeah, they both.
I bet he lost his mind.
But he's sad too.
Oh yeah.
But Sarah misses her daughter so much, but she's doing everything she can now to get back home confidently. So, with that, I just want to say thank you, because I really felt like and feel like that I've heard from everybody that listens to our show the last couple weeks, and it's been the most humbling thing to hear that people have been praying out loud for us. So from my wife and us and Sophia, everybody in my family, like your thoughts, your prayers, your encouragement has been just really tremendous, and I'll always love you for that. It's Kyle, Brian, and Sarah on Mix.